Hello, everyone. Hope you had a nice weekend. I know it feels weird to say that. Hope you're staying safe. Hope everyone's doing well. Please remember, you can always reach out to me with any questions you have. If you'd like some movie recommendations, let me know. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll post Mr. Carroll's history movie recommendations for you or something like that. Anywho's, thank you so much for the people who've been watching these and keeping up with the work. As of now, we're still not collecting any assignments, remember, so nothing I'm posting is for a grade, but it is all very crucial to keep up with to make sure we're staying accountable for all of the content. That being said, today we're going to be changing gears a little bit. We're going to be moving away from the civil rights era, which we spent a good chunk of time last week on, and start to talk about the conflict in Vietnam. So this is actually going to wrap up some of our Cold War conversations. It's going to connect that. And also, we will be talking about some counterculture as well. So this is posted on our class folder as well as a document. The first page of the document's more just kind of info for things that we'll be talking about. And the second page has some place you can kind of take notes with. We'll only get through the first about 2/3 of that second page through this conversation, though. So today's target's about something called the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution and its impact on the Vietnam War. So what's all this going to be about? Well, we got to go back to the Cold War. Remember, with the Cold War, we had this intense, bitter rivalry, right, between, on our left, the United States of America, and on our right, the Soviet Union. This went on for like 45 years, right? I even joked that I was a Cold War veteran. But it had all different kinds of facets, from an arms race, brinksmanship, space race, a bunch of close calls like the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Korean War, the rise of communism in China. And what we'll talk about here is a big part of the Cold War. We saw our big fear that gripped us domestically was the fear of communism in the Cold War. Right? Is this tomorrow? America under communism. Communism, America's mortal enemy. This led us to, restrict some civil liberties, to kind of go on some witch hunts, if you will, right? Loyalty programs, the creation of HUAC, Housing Un-American Activities Commission or Committee, and McCarthyism took hold. We saw our plans in the Cold War to try and combat communism were containment, which we see on the top right here, not necessarily attacking communism everywhere it exists, but not letting it spread, to contain it to where it currently resides. And also the Truman Doctrine here at the bottom, that we would provide money, financial assistance to those fighting communism. And we'll find out that when Vietnam, both these ideas come into play. But first, a fun video. Look at this fun. Let's see what's going on here. This will make sense why I'm showing you this, and you can watch it with the sound on if you open up the presentation. So it's certainly there for you. That's a lot of dominoes, but what's going on here? Big old 15,000 dominoes. Good golly. This is a big setup. Putting all this stuff together. Nice little design there. What they call a spiral. 2 people working overtime. The quadruple spiral. Okay. And they're putting up all the pieces. They got little blocks here. Almost looks like a roller coaster. All right. I think they're just about ready. And look, they're going to just push one. Just one domino fell. And look at all the chaos it causes. All of this is happening because one domino fell. It's a cascade. Oh, here comes the top of ooh. And there you go. And that's kind of the reverse shot. It's kind of cool looking. All right. Yeah. So why did I just show you that? Why? Just for fun? Well, a little bit, but it's this idea of domino theory. That if one thing topples, it will have a massive impact on everything around it. Now in that video, we're clearly talking about physical dominoes, but in the sense of history, we mean it as countries. So if you're focusing on the right side of this image, you see Vietnam. That's the domino that we're focusing on. And if Vietnam falls or topples and becomes communist, the idea is just like as a domino falls and knocks over and everything falls afterwards, we're talking about communism. So if Vietnam becomes communist, Laos will, Cambodia will, Thailand will, Burma will, India will, Bangladesh will. Like, this is the country we're talking about here. This is kind of like the outline of it, of Vietnam. And it's in Asia. We have a North Vietnam, a South Vietnam. America supports South, just like the Korean War. China and communism support the North. So domino theory, right? Excuse me. If we can't contain communism, it spreads to South Vietnam. Then here comes domino theory. It won't stop there. It'll go to Cambodia, Thailand, Laos. It isn't about losing one place. Domino theory is the idea if that one thing falls, everything around it will fall as well. If we go back to our last image, what's going to stop this from happening? What's going to be the prevention? On the left there, American soldier. Containment, Truman Doctrine is going to be put to the test here to try and prevent this from happening. Okay, so this is going on, and it's definitely a high-stakes situation. We want to focus here on this place in the red. It says the Gulf of Tonkin. So it's a body of water right off the coast of North Vietnam. And what's going to occur there is going to change the nature of this conflict. So I have a little video for you here. It's from a phenomenal documentary, The Fog of War. It's a series of interviews with Robert McNamara, great name. And he served in both the Kennedy and Johnson administrations during the Vietnam War. And it's a great documentary walking through his kind of torn feelings and thoughts about why America got involved and why it didn't. Now, this video, you can open up and play it through the presentation. And it is a series of interviews and also kind of recordings from this incident. So give it a watch. So pause our video, watch that, come back here once you watched it, and I'll talk about it a little bit. So hit the pause button and come back here in a second. All right, welcome back. I know that video might have seemed a little confusing because the situation itself is confusing. We have these American ships off the coast of North Vietnam, and we believe they're attacked by communist North Vietnam. Now, the American reaction at first is nothing, but when a second attack's reported, then America gets involved. America responds militarily. Now, there's quite a bit of confusion over whether or not these attacks actually occurred, as far as if it was just kind of overeager sonar men, as they put it, or if something else occurred. But it's important to note that the response by America is not done singularly. By that we mean that there's a Gulf of Tonkin resolution. So same President Johnson we talked about with civil rights, the Great Society. This is how he's trying to handle foreign policy. As it shows us, he reports that the American ships have been attacked, and he asks for Congress to support him, right? Because Congress has the power to declare war. And this is not a declaration of war. But if we look at the second paragraph, it does have a very powerful statement to it. The Tonkin Gulf Resolution stated that Congress approves and supports the determination of the President as Commander-in-Chief to take all necessary measures to repeal any armed attack against the forces of the United States to prevent any further aggression. My God, that's big. Congress basically just played hot potato. They kind of threw their power of war over to the president. And no declaration of war, but now Johnson's given kind of free rein to conduct affairs in Vietnam however he wants. And as we'll find out, that will lead to massive escalation in Vietnam. So this Gulf of Tonkin incident kind of creates the Gulf of Tonkin resolution that lets the president operate in this country as he sees fit. And our fear, why we care about what's happening here, is we're concerned that domino theory will state that if North Vietnam's communism comes to South Vietnam, that the whole region will be threatened. So this week we'll be talking about, now that we're more involved, how President Johnson will increase escalation and how the American people will respond to that. So as always, please let me know how I can help, and I will talk to you guys soon.